preseason all ACC team. So 6 Tigers listed to the all ACC preseason team. Let me give you the list of guys here. Running back, Will Shipley. Offensive tackle, Jordan McFadden. Defensive end, Miles Murphy. Defensive tackle, Brian Bresee. Linebacker, Trenton Simpson. And place kicker, BT Potter. Now, of those 6 guys, here's my difficult question of the night. Here's my stressful question for you. I asked the important questions here. Of those 6 guys from the all-ACC preseason team, who do you think is most important to Clemson's success and possibly getting back to the college football playoffs? Of those 6 guys, who would you say is most important? I'll go ahead and give you mine. I think with the offense being 100th in the nation, let's get a big turnaround with offense, and let's go with the guy that we just got done talking about, Will Shipley. I think that Clemson needs an identity bad on offense. Bigly, Houston, as Houston says, bigly. They need an identity bigly. So I'm going to actually say Will Shipley needs to be the most important of the 6 preseason all-ACC players listed. We'll start with you, Houston. Do you agree, disagree? Why? Why not?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, from an offensive standpoint, absolutely. You need somebody to be the bell cow, and if you're taking it just from the 6, I would agree. I would also want to say that you need a performance from somebody on defense that's borderline player of the year. I don't want to say that they all have to, but I want to see somebody like Trenton Simpson go out there and just lay the wood every week. Be kind of what a Clowney might be on defense. Be someone that you have to take an account for because he's out there. And he's got the ability to do that. He's built like a dadgum defensive end playing linebacker, and you don't know where they're going to put him. He's that athletic. He's got the hands to do it. He's mean. He can tear you up. So I agree about Shipley, but I also think we can't take Trent Simpson out of the equation. If he has a major year this year, Clemson could definitely go back to the playoff.
So, Morgan, you're going to love this. So I'm not going defense because I think we've got too many pieces on defense. I think, if you lose a guy or two here or there, then I think the others will pick up the slack. So I'm not going to single one person out on defense. I'm definitely going offense, but I'm going Jordan McFadden because Shipley, again, he's the one part of the offense where we have options. We still have Kobe Bates. We still have Phil Maffa. If you lose your left tackle, that affects everything. It affects your offensive line, which is already, has been shaky, and we expect them to improve this year. It affects your receivers because it affects DJ getting the ball to him, or Cade Klubnik getting the ball to him, or whatever, and it'll affect your run game. I'm going Jordan McFadden. I think he is the guy you have to lean on of the 6.
All right, so we got a lot of people getting in there. Trenton Simpson, some people saying Brian Bresee. So I think that it's easy to pick the defense because, to me, they're the most solid already. They're most proven out there. Again, I think also Will Shipley is relatively proven, considering what he was able to do last year, over 1,000 all-purpose yards for the Tigers. I do also think Jordan McFadden, man, Mr. Consistency. One thing you could count on the offensive line, Big Al, is that the tackles were going to be there.
Right.
Everybody else, maybe not so much, but the tackles in Parks and in McFadden were at least going to be there and play the entire time. So Clemson has obviously got some guys that are coming down the pipe that are going to fill those voids too and kind of replace those guys eventually. They're still kind of young, but, they yet again are going to rely on those 2 outside guys to really be leaders and anchor, and then Will Putnam to try to add some stability and consistency and veteran leadership to the center position. But again, going to the all-ACC preseason team, running back Will Shipley, offensive tackle Jordan McFadden, defensive end Miles Murphy, defensive tackle Brian Bresee, linebacker Trenton Simpson, and place kicker BT Potter. So of those, now here's my next difficult question for you, is who on the list maybe was left off that is going to be extremely important? Now, I'll go ahead and give you mine. I am really excited and amped about seeing what this kind of refreshed linebacker core is going to look like. I know he's not technically probably going to be listed as maybe a linebacker. I'm not sure, maybe a weak side linebacker. Maybe he's still going to be kind of a nickel guy. I don't know. Maybe Trenton Simpson goes into something a little bit more traditional. But I'm going to say Barrett Carter. I big agent zero. I want to see what he can do. Now, obviously, I don't expect him to be a preseason all ACC guy. So I'm not surprised that he wasn't on the list. But I feel like by the end of the season, you could very well see a terror on both sides of that second level of the defense. Simpson on one, Carter on the other. My thought being, if you've got Simpson on one side, you've likely got Murphy or XT or KJ or Brissy, somebody else on that side too. So if you're thinking about, hey, let's go to some weakness, you're probably incorrectly choosing to go towards zero, who's going to get, in my opinion, more action because they're going to try to go away from 22. Houston, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about somebody, so I'm going to take this in a different direction. There's a defensive player that apparently is not on the list. I'll lob that up to Al for this. But I'm going to take this as y'all probably hate this, but it's not going to be like I'm going to say a freshman or something. It's whoever wins the slot. It's whoever wins, whether it's Will Taylor or Spector or EJ Williams or even Antonio Williams. Any of those four guys, if they end up winning the job and being consistent, mind you, if you can be that 3rd down and 5 person, that 3rd down and 7 person that just finds a hole and gets there, that is, I mean, everybody's been complaining about what's been missing. Boom. You can also honorable mention the tight end, but that's a whole nother can of worms there. I'm just going to say whoever wins the slot consistently could be the person that could be on that list.
So, which is a great answer, by the way. I think the slot is an incredibly important position, and it's going to be huge for us this year. But, I'm getting a little confused as to what the original question was, because
who knows?
I thought you said basically who could have been on that list. So I thought there was kind of two things. Somebody very important to the success of the season and also could have potentially been on that list. Well, we don't have a slot wide receiver that should have been on that list. So I'm trying to put.
I really didn't follow my own rules there. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to put those together. And honestly, there's only a couple that really should have even been on the list that weren't. A lot of people are mentioning Makuba in the comments, and I certainly understand that. I understand also why he was not on the list because, I mean, he only played, part of the season as a starter. I agree with Bill Lanham. He gets in there, says Makuba will be on the final list. I totally agree with that. But no mention of Tyler Davis, who has been the anchor at defensive tackle. I mean, he's been the stud of studs. He doesn't have the measurables, so he doesn't get all the love that everybody else gets. But he's in there. He's always making plays. When he went out on defense, over the past couple of years, it's been bad. You can see the drop-off. You can tell when Tyler Davis is not in the game, and he needs to be there, stay healthy. I think he certainly could have been on this list, and he's incredibly important to the season.
We've got a lot of people getting their comments in. So let me go through them real quick. Bible Belt Beauty says Miles Murphy. He was on the list. So, he's already there. But Tyler Davis, obviously, as Al mentioned. Timothy says Carter reminds me of Isaiah Simmons-ish. Justin over on Facebook says, I hope we blitz as much as Venables did. It'll be as if he never left. So Blitz Venables, as I affectionately call him. I don't know if they're going to blitz as much. I do feel like that they're still going to be extremely aggressive. But from what I understand, it seems like that there's going to be a little bit tweaks here and there. Maybe not so much relying on like last minute calls to the line, and maybe more and less options out there. I don't know. I'm not going to say dumb it down, but it's going to be a little bit easier to pick up and less having to wait to the last minute and try to figure out what that play is going to be. I'm curious to see, Al. I really am. I don't know. It didn't seem like it was very much different against Iowa State, though.
No, it definitely didn't. But I love it. I mean, I think it's going to be great. I love the athletes we have along the defense this year. It's going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to play hard. I think they're going to play fast. I believe it's going to be reminiscent of a Georgia defense from last year, which is, I hate to give Georgia any kind of credit, but we all know how good their defense was last year. I think you're going to see a lot of that from Clemson.
XT did get on Twitter right before the show. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm not going to pull it up on the screen, but I'll read it to you. because I thought it was very encouraging from his camp as well. He says, finally reached my goal of 15% body fat, which if you've ever actually tried to reach that goal, that's a difficult goal to reach, by the way. And down 4.5%, lost 12 and a half pounds of fat. Lowest I've ever been in my career was 16 and a half body fat back in 2018. And if that gives you any idea, God is always on time, Red Heart. Dominique Thompson says, back to the speed demon. Does that, if you're an opposing offensive line running back, are you quarterback? Are you kind of trembling at that tweet right there? Especially if you're an ACC, maybe if you're a Georgia Tech guy, are you kind of shaking in your boots right now after hearing that?
I mean, you think about the depth that this defensive line has. It's scary, and I mean, there are people on this defensive line that I'm like, oh man, I keep forgetting that Clemson has that guy. And that sounds terrible to say because of how much talent there is. Like a guy like Peyton Page, who was a highly touted guy, who is going to be very good at Clemson. And I saw him post on Twitter the other day. And I'm like, oh yeah, he is at Clemson. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I hope he has a big year this year. And Peyton, if you're watching, I doubt you are, but if you are, I hope you have a big year this year. But you're on a super talented defense, man, and like, just consider that a special time, man.
You don't think that he pays attention to the show? I mean, come on.
I mean,
he literally
he does want to know how to idolize like the proper beard usage, but that's why he cheats.